no.
Guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
They are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature.
Gonna cry?
Jake Day here. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be covering these multimillionaire Democrat elites that want to make us feel bad because we happen to share memes with each other that are distasteful. And somehow that's bad and evil and wrong, and we should feel bad. Before we get into that, make sure to like the video and consider subscribing, and let's go.
Racist gonna racist, folks. News at 11. The racists are gonna racist on Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day. Charlie Kirk was a racist. He was a bigot. The young Republican leaders are behaving just like their martyr and king Charlie Kirk, who said that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, who said that Martin Luther King was a horrible person, who said that black people were better off during segregation, whose one of his last posts on Twitter was Islam is the sword used by the left to slit the throat of America. That Charlie Kirk, who got the Presidential Medal of Honor today by Donald Trump, our commander in Cankled chief, who, by the way, with his neck vagina, if you saw on the Time magazine cover, his so-called ceasefire just blew up. This pathetic racist piece of shit is the model of king and daddy of these young Republicans. And I don't know about you, Don and Jen, I've been poor before. I lost everything in my 20s. When I had economic anxiety, I never, not even once, in private or in public, said, I love Hitler. I know about y'all, when I had economic anxiety, I didn't feel the sudden urge to all of a sudden start promoting anti-Semitic conspiracies and throwing my enemies in the gas chambers and using the N-word and calling gay people the F-word.
I agree, and it's a common misconception that just because you sleep with another man, it doesn't mean that you're French.
Calling gay people the F-word. That is what these people, these young leaders did repeatedly, not just once, Jen and Don, repeatedly. And they laughed at each other and they applauded each other. This is who they are. This is racism. White supremacy is the enduring sin of America. White supremacy and greed, racism and capitalism. And until it is tackled, until it is confronted, until it is purged, we will see the manifestation of white supremacy and greed in the form of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Charlie Kirk, and these young leaders. And may I just say, maybe these young white conservative men need mental health. And if you are the master race and claim that you're the master race, work out. Have you seen some of the photos of these people? Work out and also wash your ass. Sorry, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Not sure why he prioritized having a clean ass. Maybe this was something Don Lemon asked him to throw in there.
When I'm around white people, they test the racist water. They test it on people like you all the time. And they'll try to say off-color things. I put my hand up.
Jennifer just outed herself as having no black or Mexican friends because they do the exact same thing. Every single race does the exact same thing with other races.
All the time. And they'll try to say off-color things. I put my hand up.
Oh, he's an individual.
Those people saying the N-word do not. Calling somebody the N-word is racist and wrong.
J.D. Vance is married to a brown woman. He has mixed race children, and that is his response to this.
There's real violence, and then there's this disgusting, despicable stuff that is said in private.
You say the N-word in private, you think it in public.
Welcome back. The vice president is doubling down on his defense of the young Republicans involved in a leaked chat that used hundreds of slurs and joked about slavery, gas chambers, and rape. On social media, J.D. Vance says that he refused to join the pearl-clutching and played whataboutism with Democrats. But after a night to sleep on it, this is how he described the Republican operatives, at least one of whom is an actual elected official.
Grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. The reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point, we're all going to have to say, enough of this BS.
Now, keep in mind, the texters referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people. They fantasized about raping enemies and driving them to suicide. They supported slavery and sending political opponents to gas chambers to, quote, watch people burn now. Now, here is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at CNN's town hall tonight talking about Republicans and the influence that they have on social media.
They have been successful because they have also been very clear, especially digitally, about what they believe, that women are inferior,
This coming from someone who can't even tell us what a woman is.
That do not, and they do not deserve equal rights. That they believe that LGBTQ Americans are subhuman. That they believe and are circulating disgusting racial and white supremacist messaging that they are able to get away with digitally and online.
She can think whatever she wants, but if they were to have this conversation at their home or at the park, it wouldn't be illegal. And so it shouldn't be illegal for them to have private messages between each other saying these types of things. If I were on a phone call with somebody and we were telling jokes like this, does T-Mobile then have the responsibility to take away my phone number, to take away my ability to call and talk to my friends? Then these messaging apps shouldn't have that ability to do that either.
Joining us at the table is Camille Foster. He's the editor-at-large at Tangle. Camille, what do you make of what she said there and how it relates to this conversation about the liberty and the freedom with which these guys thought that they could spew this kind of stuff without any kind of consequences?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Abby, first and foremost. I have a lot of issues with the conversation around this particular story. I would tend to agree the comments in the thread ought to be condemned universally. But this is like kind of what you would expect, this kind of idiot, LARPing, edgelord nonsense inside of a private group chat. I think the words you used a moment ago, that they think they could say this sort of thing risk-free, consequence-free. Well, they were saying it in private. And I'm sure they were saying different things in public. Do they mean these things authentically? In some cases, they almost certainly do. There has been a resurgence of white nationalist sentiment in this country. I think it's interesting, though, to try to trace this back and to think honestly about how we got to here. And I do think that a lot of the renewed interest in race and identity things for both noble purposes and otherwise has actually helped to create the circumstances that we see.
Yes, a renewed interest in race is going to come up when you make everything about race. When you push DEI policies, of course, when you say that you are only successful because you're this race or that race, and this race needs help in this way, and this race doesn't need any help in this way, then yes, there's going to be a renewed interest in race. But you did that to yourself. This was not the right that started this. This was Obama. This was not anyone on the right wing.
See now, that is not erasing any of the responsibility that people have for embracing and endorsing these kinds of sentiments, even in private group chats where they're doing this kind of idiotic locker room talk. They deserve to face consequences. But I do think that J.D. Vance's comments about this are worth actually focusing in on for a moment. This has shades of that whole eating the cats, eating the dogs nonsense from during the campaign cycle.
I mean, he would know all about that.
He is a capable spokesperson for this administration, and I mean that as both a compliment and a dig, in the sense that he seems willing to go out and defend just about anything. It's weird, the places where they decide to draw the lines. I'm not sure why they decide to draw it here. I do think the hypocrisy he's underscoring, though, is real.
I know why.
As well.
He didn't defend it. All he did, he condemned it. And then he said, but we shouldn't be ruining people's lives because of what people have said in private.
I think J.D. Vance is looking down the line at 2028, and he's looking at who he's calling kids right now are going to be the Republican operatives and the sort of the future of the Republican Party. And I think he's lining himself up. You make an important point. The comments in the group chat are terrible and stupid, but I find it way more interesting that J.D. Vance has chosen to defend it than these guys that nobody knows or cares about. Why did he choose that this is suddenly the sort of thing that he chalks up to a youthful indiscretion when some of the people in this chat were like a year or two younger than him? He's 41.
I'll tell you, did not defend it. I mean, the head of Young Republicans.
Right.
They exiled these folks right away. We took swift action, and I appreciate that accountability. I'm not going to defend it. I didn't even read some of these tweets, but I've heard they're bad, and I believe it. I bet a lot of these guys are the same people who troll me online for the most part. So I guarantee it's a lot of the same.
That's because you're a Zionist.
On the other hand, why you're seeing some Republicans shrug their shoulders, I mean, I'll tell you why. Here's what they would here's their sentiment. We just watched Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck. You know, we watched our president, while he was campaigning, almost get killed. A bullet whizzed by his head. So there's real violence, and then there's this disgusting, despicable stuff that is said in private. And it is disgusting, despicable. You're not going to see me try and defend it. But
Not on TV.
I'll give you that perspective from some people who might feel that way.
I think what happened to Charlie Kirk was awful. I said it. I think an assassination attempt on anybody, including the then candidate, Trump, and now president. It's awful. I also think that there's a different conversation, right? So I don't take any comfort that this is done in private, because if you say the N-word
Why?
in private, you think it in public. And that means that at some point in my life, I may be sitting across somebody who thinks I'm the N-word.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a white person that's thinking it. In fact, it's going to be a black person sitting across from you, and they're not going to think it. They're going to say it right to you.